So I was all about finished edges and all of that, and then I made a quilt that had like 850 3/4 inch circles. It's being shipped to the photographer right now for the Quilt Life. It's for the October issue. It's a grape wreath quilt. It's just beautiful. I thought there is no way I'm gonna do finished. There is just no way. So I called up the Applique people, and they sent me a die for 3/4 inch circles, and I cranked those puppies out in no time, bonded them down, again using Steam-A-Seam Light, and then did the blanket stitch around the edge. I did customize the blanket stitch. I want to show you another quilt that I'm working on right now. Can't show you the whole thing, but it's for another issue of the Quilt Life. But I want to show you up close how neat and tidy this other approach is. I like it a lot. Okay, take a look at this pomegranate, and I want you to check out how nice that is using the little blanket stitch. I have customized it, and so I'll tell you what those numbers are too, so you can write it down and then you can get this wonderful, wonderful, smart look. To find the blanket stitch on your Bernina, and again now I'm working on a 630 today. Where's that number? Right down there. You'll have to look at your guidebook if you want to know on your machine where it is. But in this one, you go down to the quilt room. That's what I call it. It's got the Amish diamond quilt. And right here, you'll see the single blanket stitch. This is the double one. This is the one that Ricky uses. I haven't played with it yet, so I have no comment. But I do think it might finish your edges a little bit more securely. But this is the one I use. So I'm going to punch that, and I'm going to alter it. It's too big for my book, the way it is. The length, I'm going to take down to 2.0. I think that's what the override on it is. And then the width on the 1.6. That's really interesting because on the 830, you have to make it smaller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the stitch all the way to the right-hand side so that, again, I can use the inside of the foot for my guide. And then I'm going to go to one of these top stitches that are just straight stitches, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to shrink it all the way down to almost 0 right over here. And again, I'm going to move the stitch all the way to the right hand side. And I will toggle between this stitch and this stitch for my blanket stitch. So let's take a look. So I'm going to start with the straight stitch. I'm going to hold this so it doesn't get all tangled up. And you can see that my foot is running right where the stitching is going to be going, right there. Take a couple little stitches, and then I'm going to toggle over to the blanket stitch that I have adjusted. You can see how small it is. And this one just goes bite, or step, bite, step, bite, and so forth. And then if you have a curve on this too, what you're going to do is always just turn when your needle is on the outside, like right there. Never make your turn when it's on the inside, like on that bite right there. Don't do that, it's going to look funny. So always when it bites on the outside. Again, I'm using a thread so that you can see it. If I were doing this for real, I'd choose a green, maybe a little bit lighter than the green, darkest green here, and I would have white on the bobbin. If you find that your bobbin thread is showing on the top, loosen up your top tension, and that means take it to about a 2. It's okay to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. It'll work just fine. And the other thing that I found in using the fusibles is that if your needle gets gunk on it, you might start skipping stitches, and so you'll want to wipe the gunk off, be on gunk patrol, and probably your needle is only good for about 6 hours of sewing, and then you have to change it. And what my needle of choice would be a top stitch 90. So I hope that I've inspired you to get at your machine and get busy, because I have to tell you, I love machine applique. Up next, I'm going to show you some quilts where I've done machine applique. You're going to like them.